Hello friends, welcome to this Lal Kitab course. This is the simplest Lal Kitab course, and in this video we're going to understand and learn the mysteries of Lal Kitab. Who created Lal Kitab? How did it originate? Where did it come from? And such. We will answer more questions. Now, we know there is a Parashara system of astrology which was invented by Parashara himself. He was a sage and he lived thousands of years ago. Similarly, Gemini system of astrology was started and practiced by Gemini, and he was also a sage and he lived thousands of years ago. But the Lal Kitab system of astrology originated from Pandit Roopchand Joshi, and Pandit Roopchand Joshi was born in 1898 and he continued to live till 1982. He was a resident of village Farwala, Noor Mahal Tehsil in Jalandhar district of Punjab. He was an accounts officer in Defence Department of British India and he retired in 1954. And we will go through a lot more details about Pandit Roopchand Joshi as we go along. Okay, the first and foremost question: why is it called as Lal Kitab and not something else? Right? This is one question that everyone wants an answer to. You all want to know. In very simple words, traditionally, business ledger books in the British India or even now, most of the business ledger books, a ledger book is simply where you write everything that you bought and everything that you sold. So you have money that is coming into the business and money that is going out of the business. A basic Hisab Kitab that you write, and these books were traditionally bound in red color. They were hardcover, they were red in color. So Pandit Ji also created this whole system and called it as a red book or the Lal Kitab because he felt that this system of astrology represented Dunyavi Hisab Kitab. It's the Hisab Kitab of the whole world. Hisab Kitab is basically the profit and loss or the balance. It's more like a balance sheet that you write, right? So for your life, he wrote a Hisab Kitab and he called it as a Lal Kitab system of astrology. He practiced it till the end. He taught it to his sons, and his son is also practicing Lal Kitab even till now, right? So this is a very simple answer, and this was answered directly by his own family, that it is called as Lal Kitab because the book that he wrote, he was an accounts officer in the British during the British era, and the book that he used to use for ledger or red book, so he also wrote the system of astrology in the red book. Now, as we go along and understand the story of Pandit Ji, you will also understand that yes, this is what must have happened when he wrote this book in the red book and why he called it as Lal Kitab, right? So we will try to understand more as we go ahead. So let's try and understand when were these Lal Kitabs published, right? So we will also see what were the different versions of Lal Kitab, but first and foremost, Pandit Ji wrote these books and he got it published anonymously. He didn't give his name to these books and he never called himself as the author of this book. And there's a reason why. We will understand that soon, right? All these books were published by his cousin Pandit Girdhari Lal Sharma from Roopchand's native village of Farwala. Very importantly, right? The first 4 volumes were printed at Jahazi Press, Lahore. Back then, India and Pakistan together formed a single country and there were no borders, right? Lahore was part of India. And initially the books were all printed by Jahazi Press in Lahore, and the 5th volume in 1952, it came out in Narinder Press in Delhi. Okay. Limited copies were sold only through Calcutta Photo House and Dharamshala. And very important thing to understand is these books were priced at a no profit, no loss basis. Whatever the cost was, it was always sold at that cost. Okay? And now, in today's time, all the old first editions are collector's editions, and they are extremely expensive and only collectors own it. Now, Panditji wrote 5 different books starting from 1939 all the way up to 1952. Okay? We'll understand the story of how he wrote this knowledge, how he received this knowledge a little later. But first, in 1939, the first book that he wrote was called as the Lal Kitab ke Farman. And he wrote this in Urdu with a sprinkle of Punjabi. Right? So this was the first foundational volume combining palmistry and astrology into the new Lal Kitab framework. That was the first book that he wrote. Okay? And he wrote it when he was stationed in Dharamshala. Okay. The second book he wrote is called Lal Kitab ke Arman, and he wrote this book in Lahore, and this book only contained all the information that he wanted to write in the first edition, but he didn't add it in the first book. Okay. The next book was called Gutka. It is very difficult to understand what has been written in it because it's written in Urdu in reality with Punjabi. This was written in Shimla when he was working in Shimla, and it's a concise, pocket-sized, verse-based summary of systems key rules. It only contains key rules and it's a pocket-sized book. Next, in 1942, he wrote Lal Kitab Tarmeem Shuda, and this is a revised and expanded text focused heavily on palmistry, physiognomy, that is reading faces, and house-based interpretation. So that is Lal Kitab Tarmeem Shuda in 1942. And finally, in 1952, he wrote the longest version that had 1171 pages, 1171 pages in length, and only 250 copies were ever printed. It had all the rules, all the grammar of Lal Kitab. It covered Pitrarin, remedies, marriage, progeny, disease, travel, and everything else. It's called Ilm-e-Samudrik ki Bunyad par Lal Kitab. Okay. So now that we've seen the 5 books that he wrote starting from 1939 to 1952, let's understand a few more ideas about this. The originator of Lal Kitab is Pandit Roop Chand Joshi. He was born on the 18th of January 1898 in Farwala, Jalandhar of Punjab. Okay, he's a son of Pandit Jyoti Ram Joshi, who was a revenue official in the Punjab government. Now, Panditji was a very good student and he had an amazing handwriting. He loved calligraphy and he always got scholarships while he was studying in his school. Okay. One of the most important things is he lost his mother during his young age, and he never read a book on astrology or astronomy. He was interested in astronomy when he was a kid. He never learned, or he never had a master who taught him astrology or physiognomy, that is the study of faces, or palmistry. But he could intuitively read faces of people and palms, and whatever he would say would always come true. So he had this knowledge when he was a kid, and he continued to learn and he continued to practice, and then finally he wrote these books, right? But the idea of Lal Kitab came later. Initially, during his childhood days, he could always read his palm, he could always read others' palms, and he could always interpret faces through physiognomy without even having a teacher. That's the most important thing that you need to know about Panditji. Okay. So, the biggest turning point of his life, or of our lives, is one night when he was dreaming, and he dreamt about a divine being. God came into his dream and God told him that he has been chosen to bring a new system of astrology to this world. Okay, he was instructed to merge palmistry, physiognomy, and his surroundings into a unified discipline. This was the turning point of his life and our lives, because now we are learning Lal Kitab, which is a beautiful system of astrology which involves the surroundings and very simple remedies to find solutions. Right? So, one very shocking thing, from the next morning after that dream, he started writing this book in his own words, using his pen in his calligraphy style. But he used to be in a very trance state, because last night he dreamt about something and God told him that he needs to start building this Lal Kitab astrology, right? So he used to smoke his hookah and he used to start writing this, and he continued to write. And at times his 3-year-old son, that is Pandit Somdat, he would sometimes explain the meaning of the dictated writings, and at times he would get shocked. That is, Panditji would get shocked and frightened that, look, what is happening? I don't understand, right? So he used to sit and write this during the day, while he dreamt about Lal Kitab astrology at night, right? And his son, Pandit Somdat, would help and sometimes interpret whatever he is writing. Okay? So, receiving the farmans, the divine instructions were called as farmans, and so his first book is called as Farman, right? He got these instructions from the divine, from God himself. This is a person who never had a teacher, who never learnt from other people, who never had a master for physiognomy, for palmistry, and he goes ahead to write a new system of astrology, and this is the most divine thing that has happened to all of us in the recent times, right? So, Panditji also started moving because of his work. He was being moved from one location to another, like Lahore, Quetta, Dharamshala, Delhi, Madras, Bombay. And during this time, he kept writing. He kept bringing out newer books. That is, he wrote 5 different books, and it all was written in different parts of his working. Right? So while he started writing, he also started interpreting horoscopes using the new system, and he quickly gained a reputation for an astounding accuracy. He could predict the life of a person with a very good accuracy, and crowds grew, and his primary aim was always to find the malefic planets in the charts of his people. Right? The crowds started growing, and a lot of people started coming to meet him, and he used to have a Baitak wherein he used to create their Varshaval, and he used to find the malefic planets and give simple remedies for these people. The reason he published anonymously, this is one of the biggest questions. Why did he publish anonymously? Right? So, Panditji's initial career, he started as a teacher, and then he went on to become an official in the British, right? So he worked for the British, and he was constantly moved from one place to another, like Dharamshala, Quetta, Lahore, Bombay, Madras, etc. So in the reign of British, he could not put his name onto a book, because he was already working under the British, and British had strict rules that people who are working for them should not write books. And for this reason, he never put his name onto these books, right? He just put the title, but they never put the names. And these were always printed by his cousin, Pandit Girdhari Lal Sharma. And we went through this earlier, right? This is the reason that all these books were written as anonymous. And this also leads to some people saying, look, probably Panditji was not the original writer, but Panditji was the original writer according to his family, from a recent interview, right? In 1954, Panditji gets retired, and when he gets retired, he goes back to his village, that is Farwala, and here his son Pandit Somdat assists him with creating Varshapals and horoscopes. and he creates a separate baitak for all of these people. And he also invents two things. One is a Varshafal table, which we will learn during the course of Lal Kitab, and a universal Lagna Sarani, which also we will learn during this course, right? So Pandit Somdat keeps helping our Pandit Ji in creating Varshafals and horoscopes and creating a baitak of people. And one of the most important things that we will see ahead is that he never charged any money for any of these consultations, and all of the people, there were different kinds of people who always came to this baitak. It could be laborers, it could be people from the army, it could be people, commoners or Britishers as well, right? So that's a very important thing about these baitaks. Now, how did he deliver these guidance? He prepared the visitors Varshafal and then opened the Lal Kitab, read aloud the exact couplet relevant to the person's planetary placement. He would explain the meaning and circle the malefic planets, and he wrote remedial measures in beautiful Urdu calligraphy. He never tried to impress, and he focused only on identifying malefic planets and giving simple remedies. Okay? He never charged money, he never took breaks. He would sit in the morning till the evening, it would continue, the baitak would continue. And he would do this because he would say that visitors have come from very long distances and they need to go home. So he would do it all day, right? So in his baitak would be people who came from long distances, and he would create the Varshafals for these people, find the malefic planet and provide remedies for this planet. Most importantly, and these remedies would be very simple, right? Now, one of the most important things about Pandit Ji was that he had his siddhis, he had achieved siddhis, right? God-given powers. Most importantly, most people go through a lot of penance, they do a lot of meditation, and they do tantra, mantra and all those things, and finally they get powers. But Pandit Ji got his powers directly from God without doing any meditation, penance or mantra practice, right? He got it naturally from God, and from where he created the Lal Kitab astrology, right? He could read palms, he could read faces, and he combined palm reading, physiognomy, and he combined the environment around him in creating the Lal Kitab system of astrology. This was his siddhi, and he was extremely powerful in terms of intuition, and he could predict the lives of people with very good accuracy by looking at the face, by looking at the hand, and by looking at the Varshafal chart that he created. But he would never charge them money, it was always free. Very importantly, one of the siddhis that he had was the red pen, Lal Kalam Siddhi. The idea was, whenever he used his Lal Kalam to write something for a person, like you are going to get a promotion, or you are going to get a transfer, or give a life blessing, it would always come true. This was the Lal Kalam Siddhi that he received from God, and it was amazingly powerful. It would always come true, right? The second Siddhi that he had was the red copper coin Siddhi. Panditji sometimes would feel that somebody's life is in danger, and in that case, he would give them a red copper coin and instruct them to carry it at all times. So before the Indo-China War in 1962, many soldiers consulted Panditji and they were given these coins, right? So the soldiers from the British Army would consult Panditji, and if Panditji felt that their life was in danger, then they would get copper coins. And whoever got or received this copper coin always came back from the war alive. Whoever did not receive it, or whoever did not meet Panditji, they sometimes lost their lives. And this proved his siddhi and his accuracy of predictions, right? So very importantly, this was the copper coin siddhi. And there's a very important story about his own death, And the story goes like this. Once, on one day, a person came and he came to consult with Panditji. And Panditji, after looking at his chart, told him that the old man on the road behind his house is going to die that day. But at the same time, his son, Pandit Somnath, heard about this and he tells Panditji that, why are you saying this? This person lives right behind our house. Right? So Panditji says, okay, it doesn't matter if it is me who is dying, but according to his chart, somebody, an old person from behind his house, is going to die or expire today. And that happened, and that's how Panditji expired at the end of his life. So this was the story of the origin of Lal Kitab, the story of Panditji, how Lal Kitab came into existence, why Lal Kitab was written anonymously, why only a few copies were printed, and the siddhis of Panditji, the copper coin siddhi and the Lal Kalam siddhi.